Right guys, Ball Talk episode 2 is good to go. My name is Rian Bailey and this week I was joined by Louth senior footballer and former Carlton AFL star Ciaran Byrne. In this podcast you'll hear us talk about Ciaran's journey to the AFL, his near 6-year professional career and his reasons for returning home. This podcast is sponsored by Defy Sports, who are a Louth-based sportswear company. There will be a link to the Defy Sports Instagram and website in the description. Subscribe for more content like this and I hope you enjoy the video. We'll go straight into the AFL. So you were selected. Obviously, those scouts going around to games and stuff like that. Talk us through the scouting process.
Yeah, so every year AFL and Australia in general send scouts to Ireland to suss out the kind of talent within the country. And I suppose I didn't realise there were scouts at many of my games. So when I ended up chatting to him, his name was actually Jared Shaw. He was a scout for Carlton. He was at most of my games. So he went to club games, Louth minor games, done colleges games when I was playing with them. And didn't realise he was at the games. And then I got a phone call one day to go to a trial down in Limerick. I think there was 16 or 17 lads there, including the likes of Kilkenny, McCaffrey, Emmett O'Congela from Dublin. There's a fair few of us. And I suppose I was just lucky enough out of that group to get offered an international rookie contract, which I went out that Christmas of 2013 to join the squad. So yeah, so there's scouts that come to Ireland regularly and scout the young Irish lads. Yeah,
did any of them other guys get called in, or is it just yourself?
I think there was a fair amount of interest in Jack McCaffrey to go, but I think he was studying to be a doctor at that stage, and the fact that he's from Dublin, Ciaran Kilkenny went out for a short stint to Hawthorn. So them lads have a massive reason to kind of stay in Ireland and to compete for All Irelands in them 5 or 6 years. Jack McCaffrey and Kilkenny won 2 or 3 All Irelands, and in a way I've won nothing. But no, I did get a great experience and experienced a good time out there.
And then, so you're selected to go. And you were saying, was it yesterday? You were saying before you went out, before you signed the contract fully, you were playing for the international rules team.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
So I was
that experience.
Yeah, so I was 17 before I actually signed any contracts with Carlton, and I played with Ireland, and post that series, I actually signed a contract with Carlton, but. Yeah, that was an amazing experience playing in the international rules. As I said to you yesterday, it's our only chance to represent our country in any competition. So that was an amazing experience. And for me, being from Louth, I played with players that I looked up to my whole career. Was togging out alongside the likes of Paul Flynn, Michael Murphy, Ross Munley, who coached me in DCU, Conor McMahon. So all these players. For a young lad like myself, I was only 17, to be kind of put my arms around them in a national anthem was an experience I'll never forget. I remember in Cavan before the game singing the national anthem, and to this day I still literally get goosebumps. To be given that opportunity to play for my country was a massive thing, and hopefully that continues. I know it's cancelled this year, but down the line, hopefully I get another chance to play for my country.
Yeah, and we were on about that as well. You were saying when you were younger, you went to that game in the mid 2000s. The game, there was a bit of a brawl broke out, and the rules changed since and stuff like that.
Yeah, I remember that game. I went up with my school. It was like 40 or 50 of us on a bus, and the vibe around Croke Park that day, I think there was 80,000 people at it, and just there was the contest of the game and the fights and that, it kind of made the whole experience of international rules like a great experience for the spectators, more so than the players as well. And it kind of showed that both teams really cared about the international rules, and there was a good vibe around it at that stage. I think the rules have changed nearly too much since that day, I suppose. And if it got back to kind of that edginess and not so much all the fights, but it would make that game so much better.
Because it's something that it's something that the GA have. To have this thing, it's really special, the whole Irish-Australian thing, and to have that game once a year. Like I was talking to Ed Smith last week about the Railway Cup, and it's probably the Railway Cup was something that was dying out and died out for a reason. But you don't want to see the same happen to the international rules. Maybe with the, as you're saying, the rule change, taking that edge away from it. It's something you don't want to see happening because it's a special game to watch.
Yeah, exactly. And then it's a good opportunity for, I suppose, Ireland to showcase how good we are as sports people in this country. Yeah, we're amateurs, but we do train as professionals, and to put ourselves up against professionals and to compete against them, and most of the times we actually beat them. It just shows how hard we actually work as Gaelic footballers and how skillful we actually are, and that we can compete against the best in a different country, I suppose.
And so you were called into that team, and you had Zach Toohey as well. And was it Ciaran Sheehan as well from Cork? Is that right?
Yeah, Gussie Sheehan.
So you got the contract after that game. So were Zach Toohey and Sheehan, were they contracted already?
Yeah, so I was already pretty much told pre that tournament that I was going to be signing for Carlton, and Zach Toohey was already with Carlton for the previous kind of 2 or 3 seasons, so he was a professional leading into that tournament. And then Ciaran Sheehan himself, he had been out with Zach Toohey originally 2 or 3 years before that, but turned down the opportunity of playing a professional sport. And then post that 2013 International World Series, Ciaran was actually offered another contract because he played so well in that tournament. He actually got player of the tournament. So Carlton wanted his services again. And Ciaran was around 24 at that age. So it just goes to show how good of a footballer he actually was to get offered the contract the second time round. So it was an opportunity for him that he couldn't turn down. So it was great for me to have another Irish lad on board, went out there and made the transition that much easier for the first couple of months.
And that's actually what I'm going to ask you about now is that transition. So let's say sort of the cultural sort of things. So you're obviously the GA amateur sport, AFL is professional. In terms of the training and stuff like that, you'd imagine it's harder out in Australia, the trainings and stuff, but it's hard in the GA as well. So how can you kind of give us an explanation as to how much harder it is? Or
yeah, it definitely is. Pre-season can never be easy, but when it's your job and you're doing it on a daily basis from 9 to 5, it certainly can become a big toll on your body. So we usually had like 3 main sessions a week on the track. So Monday, Wednesday, Friday would be our main kind of running sessions. And pre-season goes from the duration of November all the way through to December. You get 2 weeks off of Christmas, and then up until at least March. So the pre-season out there is an absolute joke, to be honest. Like, it's 4 or 5 months long. It's longer than the actual season itself. And the training you do is beyond words to tell you how hard it is. It's a physical and mental challenge. I remember my first 2 weeks of training, I met the guys over in Arizona in America, and we were straight into 2 weeks. I was kind of put straight into every drill and every training session, and my body kind of shut down. So I was pretty unfortunate. I dislocated my thumb in one of the first couple of sessions. I had to put it back in, and we climbed the Grand Canyon, which took 14 or 15 hours. So they try and kind of physically and mentally drain you to an extent where you become kind of durable. And the transition from where I came from was just trying to get used to the loads and my body being used to that, which took me a while. I was getting plenty of injuries, a lot of hamstring stuff, and and to get used to that was tough. But I loved it because you're going to train most days with a group of lads that you're slowly kind of getting to know. That was probably the hardest thing, was to forge friendship with strangers to a certain extent. But yeah, once you got used to that, it became a bit natural.
Yeah, and there's something you said there that's kind of sticking in my head. You climbed the Grand Canyon.
Yeah.
And
so
how do you structure that? You're saying 14, 15 hours. How do you structure that? How do you go about that sort of stuff? Like,
yeah, I thought that myself. So I remember the morning we got up at like 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning, and we actually walked down, which took us, I think, around 5 or 6 hours to get down to the bottom of the actual canyon. Amazing experience. The view was unbelievable. But the worst part was that you had to go back up. So we ran every
Wow.
5 minutes. So we'd run for 5 minutes, we'd walk for 5 minutes, which ended up taking us 5 or 6 hours to get to the top. But it was one of them experiences where you thought you were getting close to the top every time, but every time you looked, you were like, oh geez, we're nearly there, but you weren't. You were so
Yeah.
far away from it. Like that was a mental challenge. Nearly had to be carried up the mountain come the end. I was only 17 and trying to get used to probably impress the boys more so than anything. But
Yeah.
yeah, it was a mental challenge. I remember getting home after that 2 weeks and was like nearly crying to my parents. It's like I can't go back to that torture. But it was something that I kind of liked. I began to start and love that kind of pain and challenge of
Yeah.
pre-season, and probably had 6 tough pre-seasons over the time I was there.
Yeah. And like, was it getting harder? Let's say for the going back to the fourth preseason, the fifth preseason, was it getting harder mentally every time to go back to it?
I suppose you kind of knew it was more so you kind of knew what was ahead of you, whereas your first pre-season you didn't know what was coming. You kind of just took it day by day. But it obviously got easier because your body became stronger. You're getting older. You were naturally progressing as an athlete. So the pre-seasons they were hard, but they weren't as hard as your first one. One trial that we did a couple of times. So we do a 2K time trial the very first day we get back. So obviously you run 2K as quick as you can. I remember the first time I ran it, geez, I think I was nearly sub 7 minutes. And as the years progressed, I was getting really fit. That was nearly my type of running. We were getting down to, geez, I was running it in 6:24, I think it was. Some of the boys were
Jeez,
freakish.
mad stuff.
They were running. Yeah, some of the boys were freakish. They're running it in 5 minutes 45. So
Jesus.
if you're a gap player out there, try and run 2K in 5 minutes 45 and see how you go.
Yeah, best of luck to you.
Yeah, exactly. Do well
Yeah,
doing it in a car.
and exactly, yeah. And then the Australian boys. So, you're saying like trying to get to know them and stuff like that. Was that just the sort of thing that were there sort of team bonded stuff set up for you that the Irish lads could bond with the Australian lads, or was it just like you do it yourself?
I suppose it's nearly to a certain extent it's up to yourself to get to know the lads. But I was lucky enough, like I was living with a few lads. So when we went out there, I was living with a lad from Adelaide. From the outset, I was pretty much living from with a lad from Perth, Patrick Cripps, who's actually the captain of Carlton now at the minute. He became a very good mate of mine. So I became very close with his family and his girlfriend. So they got me through some of the tough times that I had while I was injured. Became very close with him. And you just naturally get to know lads over there. And I think I was lucky enough while I was there to have Ciaran and Zach. And we had a group of Irish lads that I'm lucky enough still to call like my mates now, with Conor McKenna from Tyrone, Conor Glass, Conor Nash, all them lads, Ray Allen from Westmeath. So very close with all them lads, and we caught up regularly. Geez, we had some crack when we did get a chance to have a few beers, which wasn't very often, but the stories I probably can't really tell here. But yeah, memories for life with them lads. And yeah, like they got me through the tough times too when I was injured. Only for them, there were shoulders to kind of lean on. So shout out to them boys. I'm still in the WhatsApp group. I should probably leave it at some stage.
Yeah, I was gonna say if you told any bad stories, you'd have to leave it.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, I can only imagine the crack now. The Irish boys cutting loose.
Yeah, we didn't get to do it too often, but when we got a chance, especially on Paddy's weekend, we had a few beers and told a few lies.
Right, so 5.5 years or so passes in Australia.
Yeah.
And you come back home, and your club are in the county intermediate final.
Yeah.
And I'll let you finish that story. So tell us the crack there.
Yeah, it kind of nearly sums up my luck to date. So I still had a year left of my contract with Carlton, and I was coming home for off season. The time when my club was in an intermediate championship final, which was 2018, and had a lot of chats with Carlton. The fact that I would have breached my contract if I was to play in that game, and it was a game that I probably could not play in because the club St Mocthas means so much to me, and we haven't been senior in 31 years or something. My dad played with them. My brother obviously plays with them. Massive role model of mine. So and all my mates I grew up playing with. So it was an opportunity that I couldn't say no to. And it was probably a lot of Irish players come home and kind of have that opportunity to play with their club. Mark O'Connor did at that time. He got a bit in trouble. Conor McKenna played with his club. Zach Tui often comes home and plays with Portlaoise. So it was an opportunity I couldn't say no to. So and when I did play that game, I was still contracted to Carlton. So I did plan on going out to Australia the year after, but I kind of had my mind made up that I was going to retire. And unfortunately in that game, I didn't start, but I came on in the second half, and within 8 minutes I dislocated my ankle. So that was a horrible feeling. I remember my parents coming out, and I was in tears. I was like, Jesus, what do you mean? Like, not again. So that was horrible, because I came home to play with my mates and to set up my kind of life back here in Ireland, and to be shot down with another serious injury was a hard pill to swallow. We were lucky enough to go on and win the game, which was great, but it was kind of bittersweet because I couldn't really celebrate with the boys that we won a championship final. So that was tough, which led me into retiring the day after from Australia. Obviously they weren't going to like me back with a effed up ankle. So 12 months of rehab was tough, considering I wanted to come back and kind of fit into the fold here in Ireland with a new job. And I suppose I wanted to try and build up my reputation as GA player again with my club, and obviously with my county as well. But to be probably in the last year sitting back and watching games that I should have been playing in was horrible. So hopefully this virus can tip off sometime soon, and I can get back out and play some GA.
Exactly. And just just going back to how you're saying there, you terminate the contract the day after. Like, you know yourself, it's a story as old as time. The lad that plays Gaelic football goes and plays a soccer game, and that's found out about, and there's uproar in the Gaelic camp. So you're a professional going back playing Gaelic football. So how did you end on bad terms with Carlton, or were they all right with you, or what was the story?
No, they completely understood where I came from. They realised how much I was giving up as a kid coming out to play their sport. And I did give it a good 5 or 6 years. And to a certain extent, it's a matter of what if with my Carlton career, because I did start to kind of forge a good name for myself as a defender in the AFL game. And if it wasn't for the injuries, I probably wouldn't be in this position that I'm in now. I'd probably still be playing the game, to be honest. But no, I definitely ended it in good terms. They're a great club. They supported me every step of the way with my injuries and whatnot. So I'm forever grateful for the opportunity they give me. And we ended it in good terms. They obviously wanted me to stay. They flew a couple of lads over the time when I said I was going to retire to try and persuade me to come back out to Carlton.
Right.
Yeah, so they flew. Literally, I said I was retiring. 2 days later, there was 2 lads that landed at my doorstep to try and persuade me to go back, to get on the plane, basically. But no, look, it meant too much to me to stay and forge a career for myself here in Ireland, I suppose. And yeah, hopefully it pays off in the end. But it does, though. I love home, and I'm GA, and I'm a family man at heart. So delighted to be back in Ireland.
Just before we go any further in the video, I want to give a shout out to the sponsor for today's video, and you might help me on this, Ciaran, as well. So it's Defy Sports, a sportswear company in Louth. As you can see, Ciaran is wearing one of the jackets as well. So if you want to tell us a bit about Defy Sports, Ciaran, and about the marathon as well.
Yeah, so I was lucky enough that when I did retire from AFL, that John Fox, the director of Defy Sports Apparel, just here in my local town in Louth, got in touch with me to see if I wanted to pursue a career as a kind of a sales rep with the company. And yeah, it's an up and coming, really exciting sportswear brand in my local town in Dundalk. And we do all things GA, soccer, rugby, basketball. It's an exciting sort of custom teamwear brand, and it's starting to kind of build a reputation for itself, and we're obviously trying to get our name out there as much as possible. So hopefully a few people in Sligo will jump on board with us pretty soon. So I actually did a competition there on my Instagram there on the weekend, where I rode a marathon, which I don't think I'll ever do again. As you can see, I've blisters all over my hands still from from the marathon. So people who don't know, it's 42,000 meters on the rower. So yeah, I said something that I wanted to do. I wanted to challenge myself in these shitty times, for want for a better word. I think I did it in 3 hours and 12 minutes. So anyone who completes that has an opportunity to win one of these cool kind of puffer jackets and a Carlton jersey that I wore in my last game against Richmond. So just means you just got to enter the competition by doing 42,000 meters in a row, and if you complete it, tag myself and Defy in the post, then you'll be a chance to win it. So so if you can follow Defy on Instagram, please do.
And I leave a link to Ciaran's Instagram page in the description, so you can check out that marathon, and a link to Defy Sports as well. And I actually looked at some of the jerseys there the other day, and it's well worth just to have a look at some of the stuff, because it's some nice gear.
Thanks, pal.
Let's move on a bit. Go back to Louth. Something that's very, very apparent to us Louth people and Sligo people is the Tier 2 system. And what's your take on it?
It looks like it's not going to go ahead obviously this year. But I'd definitely be an advocate for it. Considering the position I suppose that Louth's in at the minute. It looks like we will be relegated to Division 4 now at this stage. I suppose it gives us something to strive towards. I know myself, I'm a competitive beast, and I always want to compete myself against the best. But I feel like Louth at this stage are probably a fair bit behind Dublin now at this stage. So we have a lot of work to do to compete against the likes of them counties. So I suppose the Tier 2 gives us a chance to compete in a competition that we can possibly win. And at the end of the day, that's why we play football. We want to win games, we want to win cups, and if the likes of Louth and Sligo can play in a competition that we can win, I'm all for it.
And I think as well, it gives that sort of it gives a bit more of a competitive nature to the league as well. And I think the league is something, the Allianz League is something that's getting more and more competitive every year. And there's some great games coming out of it. But there's correct me if I'm wrong here now, but the two teams that go up from Division 3 are in the Tier 1 system, and then the two teams that come down from Division 2 are in the Tier 2 system. So, it goes down to the final day in the league in that sense as well.
Yeah, exactly. It makes, as you say, it makes the league a lot more exciting. So, for example, Cork are top of Division 3 at the minute. They're going to want to play in the top championship. So they're in with a chance now to get promoted into Division 2, which means they're going to be playing in the Tier 1 championship, which is the All-Ireland, obviously. So, yeah, it makes the league a lot more exciting. But at the moment, it gives lesser counties like the likes of Louth and Sligo, I suppose, a chance to win a competition. But ultimately, you want to build up to compete against the best. And, geez, the dream is to obviously win a Sam Maguire. And hopefully in our time, Louth or Sligo get a chance to maybe get close to it.
Yeah, and just on that as well, I only watched it last night after we were talking about it yesterday. That day, 10 years ago now. So I asked on Instagram, and Twitter the other day if anyone had any questions for Ciaran. I'll just read out a few of them here. So the first one is, what sport do you prefer, AFL or the GAA? And I think you've answered that one in a way already.
Yeah, definitely GAA. It's the sport I grew up as a kid, so I love it. AFL was obviously good, paid the bills and whatnot, but GAA is my love.
I'll put a bit of a twist on this, on that question. Would you prefer the AFL or the international rules sort of game?
Tough question. I probably would prefer the international rules. I think it's a great game, a great hybrid game, and obviously we get to use the round ball still in that game. So I'd probably say international rules, to be honest. I kind of love the tackling side of things, which I kind of got used to in AFL when I was out there. I started to become a very good tackler in that game. So I'd probably say international rules. Getting the chance to tackle in a Gaelic type sport is it's kind of cool.
Yeah, and another question as well related to the AFL is the basic skills. How did you find acclimatizing to the basic skills of the game?
I thought it was actually not too bad. I was lucky enough before think it was 3 or 4 months before I actually went out to Australia initially. I had Kevin Dias from Armagh, who played with Armagh Seniors and was with Collingwood for 2 or 3 years in Australia as well. So he taught me how to kick the ball as Irish players. So we're learning from the outset. We're not getting any bad habits. So we're picking up the ball at the age of 16, 17, and we're learning how to kick it down. So we're not really getting any bad habits. We're learning how to kick at a good age. So I kind of liked that side of the game. The biggest thing was actually when you got over there with the mark, and so anytime I took a mark, like obviously you have to step back or whatever, I kept playing on, which for the Aussies, they didn't have a clue what was going on because they would expect you to take the mark, but I just kept playing on, and I didn't have a clue what I was at, but it kind of worked in my favour a lot of the time. Some of the times I was getting tackled, so that side of the game was kind of cool, and tackling, you'll probably never get used to the tackling side of things. I like tackling people, but knowing that you were always under pressure in that game and that you had to sometimes just literally get the ball in your boot and hack it on 50 metres, that's something that in Gaelic we don't do. Like we never just get the ball and boot it 50 metres like without knowing where it's going to go. So in AFL, a lot of the time you'd nearly just get it and boot it into the contest 50 metres down the line. So that's something that I had to kind of get used to, just getting rid of possession like that, I suppose.
And I actually watched a video on YouTube, just some of your highlights from your time with Carlton, and I noticed just the bouncing the ball or the footy as they call it over there, bouncing that on the run. You're going at a serious pace and you're bouncing that. Like, did that just come second nature to you, or was that something that it'd kind of skip off to the side for a while or anything?
No, it did become second nature after a while. Like the early stages, had to really like learn how to bounce the ball. Like I was on my hands and knees trying to get the point. You have to hit a certain point of the ball on the ground for it to bounce back up at you. So no, it became second nature. I suppose it's like anything else. The more you practice it, the better you get at it. But in games, you didn't really get to bounce it too often. I remember one game out there, I made a run and I bounced it a couple of times, but you're under so much pressure in that game that you don't really get the opportunity to bounce the ball too many times. So so I didn't F it up too often.
The last question here, actually I've got two more questions. One is the difference between S&C in Australia compared to methods here. What's the big difference?
I suppose in a professional sport, you're always under the watch of a weights coach, a running coach. I think you're lucky enough to have them at your disposal every day. Whereas here, you're only getting to see your S&C maybe twice a week. I think we're lucky enough at county level to have very good S&C coaches. But it's just the nature of the AFL sport. You have to be able to run some serious kilometers, and it's a completely different sport in my opinion. Like you have to be strong, you got to be fast, you got to be fit. So we're doing different types of runs. Like I remember a run that we did with Carlton. It was like a 300-meter test. We had to do that 15 times on the minute. So if you ran it in 40 seconds, you'd only get 20 seconds off. So you're training every day. So you're building up an endurance base that's massive, and you're lifting bigger weights because you have to be strong for that sport as well. So it's a completely different sport. I think that's the only difference is that you're under the watch of weights coaches and running coaches that every day. There's not that big of a difference between the professionalism of S&C. It's just that you're doing it more often, I suppose. I'd say we'll wrap it up there with the questions, and thanks to everyone for sending in their questions as well. We're going to move on to the My 15 segment now. So as done with Enda Smith last week, if anyone got a chance to watch that, I asked Enda, obviously asked Enda last week, asked Ciaran this week to prepare 15 of players that they have played with, the best players that they have played with in their opinion. They have to be in the team themselves. That's the only other rule. And they can be players that they played college football with, international rules, club football, county football, whatever. As long as you played one competitive game with them, they can be included in the team. So I'm going to get you to start off there, Ciaran, where you put yourself in the team. Yeah, no worries at all. I was obviously going to put myself in the team because I'd love to play with this team. It'd be unreal to get an opportunity to play with this group of lads. So I've actually stuck myself In the centre half forward, number 11. I'd naturally probably see myself as a full forward, but I'd say as I grow into getting used to Gaelic again, I might hopefully be a midfielder for my county. So I put myself centre half forward for this team.
Very good. We're going to go back to the number 1 spot. So who was your keeper?
Yeah, so I kind of based this team off a couple of different teams. So I played with, obviously, my club St Mocthas, played with DCU in college, played with Dundalk colleges, and I played with Louth teams. Yes, I played international rules, but didn't really want to pick any of them players because it was only 2-game series and it wasn't actually GA. So yes, it was amazing to play with them lads, but I didn't really want to include them in this team. So I started off with Neil Gallagher in goals. He's a coolie man from Louth. Played with him for a year before he went to Australia. Very good keeper. His kickouts were amazing. So a left footer. So the full back line, I've went with, similar to Enda, he actually picked Stephen Atride from Laois. He was the Laois captain last year. Had him in cornerback. Very tight player, fit and strong. Was amazing for us when we played with him in DCU. So put him in cornerback. Put Johnny McGuigan from Monaghan in the full back. He was our captain actually for DCU at the time. Just a solid Monaghan man who would put his shoulders to the wheel in any game. Was an amazing player. Just one of them lads you wanted to play with. And the other cornerback, I have Philly Inglesby. So he's a clubman from the Mocthas, from Louth. He played a few games at Louth as well. He's the heart and soul of our club. Been an amazing player for a number of years now. I could not have him in the team. So he's a cornerback. Some serious players in there. So good shout out to my club mate Philly.
Yeah. We'll move on to the half back line, 5, 6, and 7.
Yeah, so the half-back line was a tough enough one to pick. I went with 2 Louth senior players that I played with in my time before I went to Australia. I went with Ray Finnegan on number 5. Ray will be well known for the goal he scored against Kildare in the quarterfinals. Serious half-back, would run all day. Heart and soul of the Louth team. Scored an unreal goal against Kildare. If anyone gets a chance to see it, left footer, top corner. So in Navan, serious player from the Pats. John O'Brien, O'Mahony's man, left footer, strong as an ox, fit as a fiddle. Another heartbeat of the team. Centre half back, very good footballer. Man mark Bernard Brogan. I kept him to 0 points when we played Dublin. Got man the match that day. He was a serious player. So have him at centre half back. And then there's a big shout out to another club man, Darren McMahon, number 7. Growing up playing with Darren all my years at club, one of the main reasons I became a good club footballer and developed into a senior footballer and eventually got to Australia was because of Darren. Role model of mine. Played county for a couple of years as well. Just a very good footballer and supplied me with a lot of ball down the years.
Just to go back with McMahon there, and I was looking it up because you sent me on this team the other day. He was the captain of that intermediate winning team in 2018. Is that right?
He was, yeah. Geez, you done your research.
I did my research, boy. Would he be the captain on this team, or is it a team that there's leaders all over the park? Like,
good question. Yeah, Darren is a leader and always kind of has been throughout his whole career, I suppose. But yeah, this team is full of leaders. Like, we go into midfield, like Paddy Keenan in there as well, and then the Smith. So, you can't. It'd have to take another week, I'd say, before I make a decision on the captain in this team, to be honest.
100%, yeah. So as you said there, your midfield, bit of a dream partnership for you there.
Yeah, so I know, yeah, Jesus. So Enda Smith, obviously, big shout out to him. Me and him played together in DCU. Outstanding footballer, one of the best footballers I played with today. Right footer, serious engine. Supplied me with a lot of ball in the centre half forward line when I was playing with DCU. So big shout out to him. And then Paddy Keenan. There's not many people in Ireland that won't know Paddy. Retired at a young age, 29 with Louth. All-star. back in 2010 when we lost against Meath, which was tough for him, but arguably the best footballer to ever play with Louth. So big shout out to Paddy. Wish he was still playing with Louth. Still should be playing if he's listening.
Right, half forward line. You've already mentioned yourself as centre half forward. So who have you got either side of yourself?
Yeah, so tough enough line to pick again. So I had Andy McDonald. So he's from Louth. Obviously, he's played a good career with Louth. Was part of that team in Leinster. 2010. He's captain for the Newtown Blues, who won the last 3 championships here in Louth. Outstanding footballer, good engine, both feet. Played a year with him before I went to Australia, so he's stuck in there. I had myself at centre half forward, obviously, and then Niall Murphy from Sligo. I'm sure you know him. Played with him at DCU. Very one of the most skillful footballers I probably played with. Both feet. Scored a lot when we were at DCU in that freshers competition. So shout out to Murph there on the half forward line.
Yeah, and actually Enda there's a few guys now that yourself and Enda have put into your teams, and Enda had a lot of good stuff to say about Niall Murphy as well. Just on that freshers team that you had, obviously a lot of them guys went on to win Sigerson. Was it a team that was just special? It's something about college football from my own experience playing freshers last year. There's a lot of guys that just click straight away. They just click with each other. It could be a lad from Kerry and a lad from Mayo, and they just know where they're in the field after 2 or 3 games playing with each other. Was that DCU team kind of like that as well?
100%. I think Enda alluded to it too. I think freshers football is probably the best standard of football that I have played to date. You're playing with lads from all over the country, and for some reason, as you say, you do connect with them straight away because you're living under the roof with these boys every day, and you're training with them a lot. We were lucky enough to have Ross Munley as a coach, who everyone knows, outstanding coach. He drove us to some serious standards. Ken Robinson, who's with the Dublin ladies too, he was involved with us. So yeah, we had a great team, good group of young lads. We had some good times too. We actually lost against UCD in the league, so we got to the final in the championship, which we bet them eventually did. A serious team: Jack McCaffrey, Paul Mannion. But the team that we had, it clicked, and some serious footballers like Enda, Niall Murphy. We had Conor McHugh from Dublin. Jesus, the names are endless. But yeah, we clicked, and it's just a camaraderie of college football, as you said. The nights out and the mates you make after them competitions is we had some crack. And I nearly wish to click the fingers and go back to it.
Yeah, as Enda said as well, it was the stopping of the off license on the way home from the games. That's when the team band was done.
Yeah, and it's probably something that's maybe missing in GAA these days is the bonding side of things, and that's what makes such a good team, is that when everyone's so close that I suppose you'll die for them on the field, and that's what Ross Munley kind of drove into us. We had a close knit team, and ultimately that's why we bet UCD in the end, I'd imagine.
Yeah. Right, full forward line, 3 spots left in the team. Tell me who you've got in there.
Yeah, so full forward line, I've played with a lot of good forwards in my time. I suppose I had to stick my brother Declan Byrne in there from the Mocthas. He's been a role model for me my whole life. Trains the house down. An outstanding club footballer. Some of the scores he racks up in games is ridiculous. Both feet, playing with the county as well. So hopefully we can get back. We haven't played too many games with each other at the county, so hopefully we can get back and play. That's one of the main reasons why I did come home from Australia. So big shout out to my brother Decky there in the corner forward. Went with Shane Lennon in the full forward line from Louth as well. Played with him, similar to Ray and John. Played with him a year before I went out to Australia. Outstanding footballer, very strong full forward. Probably in his day would have made any full forward in the country. He had a big bum, and he used that to his advantage a lot. Kind of pushed players out of his way. So
yeah,
big shout out to him. He's a GDA here in Louth, doing a great job. So serious player. And then the other corner forward had Conor McHugh, redhead from Nafina in Dublin, up and coming star for the Dublin senior team. He scored some serious amount of points in that tenure with DCU freshers, and he's a gentleman man too. So hopefully he squeezes into the Dublin team over the next couple of years.
Yeah, and I was just again doing a bit of research on that full forward line. So you've got like it's an ideal. So some of the sort of stats and that you can say about these boys. So your brother Declan there, over 100 appearances for Louth. Is that right?
Yeah.
Over 100 appearances, and from what I read as well, he had a stormer that day that you won the intermediate too.
Yeah, so when I went off injured, I think that kind of, I suppose, drove my brother Decky to kind of push on. And I remember, I think the boy said he got everyone in a huddle. Once I got injured and he seen the pain I was going through, that we had to kind of win the game for me, and he kind of drove them on. I think he scored 3 points after that instance, and he's a real leader of our club, and I suppose he's the heartbeat. So he's been an outstanding career with Louth too, as you said, over 100 appearances. So being a role model my whole life, and I suppose I've always looked up to him.
Massive. And then you've got Shane Lennon there as well, 10 seasons with Louth too, and he was part of that Division 2 winning team in 06.
Yeah, geez, when you look back on it, like Louth had some seriously good years. Was in Division 1, obviously. That was a serious team. Division 2. Been watching some highlights over the last couple of weeks. And I was actually chatting to Shane Lennon and Darren Clark about them times, and the buzz around Louth at that stage was crazy. We had a serious team, and I was just saying, what's the difference between, I suppose, the Louth team now and then? And they had so much belief, and the following around Louth football was great. So that's my ultimate goal now as a back payment Louth, that we kind of get that feeling back in football, and that we believe in ourselves more so than what's the point of training, I suppose, and not looking to achieve things. So hopefully we can get that belief back in Louth football in the next couple of years.
Yeah, and then your number 15 then, Conor McHugh, 3 All-Irelands, 4 Leinster titles, and 3 National Leagues already. I think them sort of things write themselves, don't they?
Exactly, yeah. And it's crazy that he's not even, like, for such a caliber of footballer, and I play with him, and I've seen how good he actually is. It's amazing to think that he actually can't even start for Dublin. That just goes to show how good Dublin are. Like, 3 All-Irelands. He's the same age as me. He's 25. Let's just say I'm pretty jealous. But yeah, he deserves a run in the senior team, and I'm sure he'll get it this year. Oh well, maybe not this year now. What's going on, but in the not so distant future.
Yeah, he had that massive performance last year as well, didn't he? In the quarter final against Ballyboden.
Yeah, I remember
he kicked 6. There was that controversial second yellow, but he kicked 6 and he was absolutely on fire that day altogether.
Yeah, he shouldn't have got sent off. I remember that. Jesus Christ, he was hard done by, but yeah, he was kicking them out of his ass, for want for a better word.
Yeah. I think it was on Instagram. I saw it there about 2 or 3 months back. They did up a team. I can't think what page it was, but they did up a team of North Dublin against South Dublin, and it's just absolutely crazy.
Yeah, it's the pick they have and the players they have is something that other counties kind of probably don't have, but we have to strive towards. Don't get yourself wrong. Like these Dublin boys, like they train like professionals. Like, yeah, they have a serious pick and they're unreal players, but they train the house down. Like, even in the off season, them boys look after each other. So yeah, it's where other counties kind of have to get to if they ever want to compete against them. But yeah, I think we're a while off.
Yeah, they're a special side, all right. So yeah, as you said there with that team, that is a makeup of what is, from what you've told us, 3 great teams. That your club, St Mocthas, that intermediate winning team. You've got that Louth team from the mid 2000s to late 2000s, and you've got that freshers team.
Yeah. So yeah, I pretty much based it on the fact that how them players kind of impacted my career and how well they played at the time when I was playing. As I said before, I could have picked players like, I suppose, Paddy McBrearty, Michael Murphy, Conor McManus, the time that I played with international rules. But I only played 2 games with them, so they didn't really make that much of an impact on my career. So I based it on the fact that how well the players played with me at the time I was playing, and the impact they had on, I suppose, me as a footballer when I was playing with them.
Yeah, and it was very much the same as well in his team. Two savage teams that you love to see go up against each other as well.
Yeah, unfortunately we won't be able to play, but if it ever was the case, we'd love to tug out.
Yeah. I think that wraps up nearly everything now, Ciaran. How are you finding this whole isolation crack? Same as everyone else, I'm sure.
It's mental. I don't know, we're into our 4th or 5th week now at this stage, and cabin fever's starting to kick in. I'm starting to get bored off my brains, but still kind of working away, doing stuff for the fight, trying to set ourselves up for a big year. Keep myself fit. Jeez, I've never trained as much in my life, so keeping a routine. I suppose giving me a chance to chat with people that I haven't chatted to in a long time. So catching up with mates that I was in college with, and using Zoom like we're using here, it's a great idea. But yeah, it's tough times. Just important that you look after your friends and your family, and just keep reaching out to people, because it is tough times. But Jesus, we'll come out at the end of it, and I think we'll all be appreciate the simple things of life once it returns.
100%. I think we're going to wrap it up there. Thank you very much to Ciaran Byrne, and the very best of luck with this year. Well, when the football starts up again with Louth.
Thanks, Ryan. Appreciate it, pal.
Thanks again to the sponsor, Defy. There will be links to Defy's Instagram and website in the description. Thanks to Shamey O'Boyle, Sob DJ, for the music for this as well. Link to Shamey's Instagram and SoundCloud, Spotify, and that will be in the description too. We'll be back next Friday with another video as well. So thank you very much for watching.
Thanks, Ryan.